Murder in the morning from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Scott Peterson, that's who we're talking about. Nearly 2 decades after his conviction for the murders of his wife, Laci, and their unborn son, Connor, a California judge has ruled to permit limited DNA retesting in the high-profile case. On Wednesday, San Mateo County Superior Court Judge Elizabeth Hill allowed the retesting of DNA on duct tape found on Laci Peterson's pants to be but denied testing over new or prior evidence. So we're looking back at old evidence to be retested. Peterson, who was convicted in 2004, was originally sentenced to death. He's been fighting for a new trial with support from the Los Angeles Innocence Project, which took up the case in January. The hearing on Wednesday marked a significant moment in Peterson's ongoing bid to prove his innocence, although it fell short of granting all the requests made by his defense team. Judge Hill's decision to allow retesting of the duct tape, approximately 15 inches long, is a partial victory for Peterson's defense. The duct tape was found adhering to Laci's pants and her right thigh, and a section of it had previously undergone DNA testing, revealing the presence of human DNA, though no profile could be obtained. New testing could potentially prove crucial information regarding the actual perpetrator, which could very well be Scott Peterson. However, the judge made it clear that her ruling was strictly about the evidence and not about granting Peterson a new trial. This determination is solely about the evidence in question, Hill stated, underscoring the limited scope of her decision. So no Scott Peterson lovers who've been writing him for years, hoping he'll come out and then ravish you after a delicious roast beef dinner at Arby's. Calm down. The defense team's broader question included DNA testing of stains found on a mattress discovered in a burned-out van and examining evidence from a burglary that occurred near the Petersons' home around the time Laci disappeared. The defense suggested that Laci might have encountered the burglars and was murdered because she witnessed the crime. These requests, however, were denied, leaving the duct tape as the sole piece of evidence permitted for retesting. Quote, "We were right then and we are right now," stated David Harris from the San Elias County District Attorney's Office, saying, quote, "It is inappropriate for the defense to continue to try and find things that drag this case out. The state of California has a powerful interest in the finality of its judgments." Well, I get that, California, but if there's some questionable shit that wasn't looked at, and I'm not a fan of Scott Peterson, I think he looks guilty as shit.
Yeah.
But maybe we should take a look at the burned out van and other possibilities, just to be sure. Scott Peterson reported
Well,
go
but
ahead.
this was Tony. This was a nice neighborhood too. So
Mhm.
why is there a burned out van?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
We need to get to the
it's
bottom of that.
It's a little weird, a little odd. Scott Peterson reported his pregnant wife missing from their Modesto, California home in December of 2002. Less than 4 months later, the bodies of Laci and Connor were found washed up in the San Francisco Bay. Prosecutors allege that Peterson's motive was to escape married life and impending fatherhood. Remember Scott Peterson? If you remember his voicemails and his girlfriend, and he was talking about while Laci was dead, oh, hey, I'm over here in France, and it's so beautiful watching the fireworks. And he wasn't there. He was making the whole shit up. Now, he may be, maniacal, liar, but is he a murderer? That's the question. And judging by what he was able to maniacally lie about, didn't look very good. Does it make him able to maniacally lie about other things? I would argue probably, but that's why we want to make sure we have the right information and the right person. After nearly 6 months of trial in 2004, Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for Laci's death and second-degree murder for Connor's death. The jury recommended the death penalty, which was initially upheld by Judge Alfred DeLucci. However, following Governor Newsom's 2019 moratorium on executions, Peterson's death sentence was overturned by the California Supreme Court in 2020. He was resentenced to life without parole in 21 after the court found that a juror failed to disclose her involvement in other legal proceedings. In 2023, Peterson's attorney filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, alleging violations of his constitutional rights and claiming actual innocence supported by new evidence. The Los Angeles Innocence Project, which works to exonerate wrongfully convicted individuals, announced it was investigating Peterson's claims, saying, quote, Scott Peterson deserves a thorough review of the evidence, including those pieces that were previously ignored or overlooked, said the representative from the Innocence Project. The judge's ruling on Wednesday limits the scope of new evidence testing, keeps Peterson's case in the public eye, and continues to stir debate about his guilt or innocence. Duct tape going to undergo testing, retesting. Both the defense and prosecution will then prepare for the next steps as this continues on forward. I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't want to look at anything else, but maybe if there's something here, maybe it'll be a catalyst to look further. I don't know. Everything we know about Scott Peterson, again, it's kind of one of those cases where it's death and dismissal by your other actions, not even necessarily if we know for sure if you killed these people, you're a pretty shitty human being. Kind of like almost I would compare it to Alec Murdaugh a bit, where you learn about all the other horrible things that he has done. You go, yeah, it's okay if he stays away forever, even if we're kind of questioning this over here.
Yeah, absolutely. What bothers me so much, and we're seeing, this is an old case. We see Chad Daybell, guys who are having these extramarital affairs. They're still married. They kill their spouse, allegedly, or they did. Why not just walk away? Why not just go, you know what? This shit's not working for me. Let's just part ways. Let's go live our lives separately. Why do people have to die? I've been waiting. I've been listening to the Chad Daybell victim statements and waiting for somebody to say those exact words. Nobody had to die here. That's fine if you fell in love with somebody else. It happens. But nobody has to die. So Scott Peterson, if he killed his pregnant wife, why not just, as tragic as it would be, say this marriage doesn't work for me. I'm in love with, what was her name, Amber Hill or something? I don't know. Whatever her name was. I'm in love with somebody else and I'm sorry. But I need to go do what's right for me. Why isn't that okay?
Well,
why do you have to kill somebody?
Oftentimes, there's never a right reason for it ever, but oftentimes their motive is going to be money. It's going to be not having to pay spousal support or child support. They view that they've been wronged, and why should they have to? They continue to be wronged. Well, because we're in America and our system sucks. That's why. So if you don't like that little, tidbit of how things work, then you should probably move somewhere else where it's also probably not much better. But it is what it is. And if you or don't cheat on your wife, how about that? Work on strengthening your relationship if you possibly can. And if for some reason you can't, then you got to call it a day. And hopefully the powers that be will make sure that it ends up in some sort of sensible separation. That can be a nightmare because basically the divorce industry is an industry designed to suck the money away from you and go to attorneys and not to actually either of you. But if you have a sensible partner with you, usually that can be discussed and explained. And well, not usually. I don't know. I've been lucky where it's like, look, let's be fair about this. Let's not basically give an attorney a fucking payday. That's insane here. Let's be, and if you got something like that, then it works out okay. I've personally been lucky, but or just get a prenup before. Do that if you're really concerned about your assets and things like that. And if you both earn them together, then that's fucking life. You got to split it up if it was truly done that way. But there's a lot of ways where the system certainly does not favor the male in terms of any sort of fairness, especially if it comes to something where the spouse did something horrible, and then but it does work both ways completely as far as how it looks at each partner. It's not necessarily the way it should be, quote unquote, if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then the people go to do this shit because they're desperate and they're not thinking right, and they think, well, this is the way out. Clearly not.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast Next.